Hi there, my name is John Stevens. I'm pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we are part of the ELCA. And welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where I take a look at the lectionary text and I tie them to an item from the Dollar Tree or the junk drawer or the kids' room or the garage. You know how we've been doing it. Thank you for your partnership in this ministry. Thank you for spending a little bit of your week with me in this way. And most importantly, thank you for the love that you're sharing with your kids and your congregations and your families. You are rocking it. Thank you. So this is for the Revised Common Lectionary. We're in the Gospel of Mark again. We've moved out of John, the bread discourse and all of that, the bread of life discourse. And last week was washing of hands with the handitizer. And I spent some time, I gotta just show this, at the Dollar Tree. Yep, at the Dollar Tree. And I got some things that I want to, our springboards for this week's gospel lesson. One is from in 2021, when I did this for the text at the last 3-year cycle, and it's painter's tape. And this is actually similar to one that I did for the narrative lectionary this week, talking about boundaries, but this is about how God steps over boundaries for us. I've got the painter's tape, and we create which I'm just realizing, I talked about how sometimes boundaries can be messy on the narrative lectionary, and I forgot to take off those. There we are. But we got boundaries, and the boundaries are that there's certain things in whether it be last week talking about these are traditions and they're set up and what we put there, and you don't cross over those. You respect the boundaries, and if you do, whoa, watch out. Here we've got people that are on the outside that are stepping over the boundaries to get to Jesus, and we've got Jesus that is touching someone that is really is not whole, is not healthy in that whole frame of mind, crossing the boundaries so that it can bring healing upon the man. And so all of these things, and I've got the woman that's asking for healing for her daughter, and that's and there's that kind of an argument that goes on, and sometimes we try to let Jesus off the hook, where it's like, well, we don't know his tone, and maybe but the fact that he was raised in the system where he fully man, fully God, whole thing, trying to play that out, and has those boundaries, those traditions where you're on the outside, you're not part of the chosen, and the woman pushes back. I mean, a mom going speaking up for her child, watch out. And there's that whole back and forth, and Jesus, the woman steps over the boundary, and Jesus steps back over the boundary. There's things that are happening, a conversation that takes place. It's like, whoa, it's a hold back. Can you imagine being on the outer realm of the conversation and hearing this? And yeah, it's and so boundaries, sometimes, like talking about before, boundaries, sometimes when we're trying to make the boundaries, it can be messy. The tape, like earlier, I was literally trying to tear off just one like smooth little piece of tape, and I kept ripping on me, and because boundaries are messy and boundaries are helpful, and they when we're called to be in relationship with one another, so there we are, boundaries. So that's one springboard about using painter's tape and having a line and stepping over the boundary or pulling it out, and on that side they're in, on this side they're out, and all of those things. So we got those. I'll leave that there and take those off later. Hopefully I'll remember before I go into another meeting. Oh, who knows? So there's that. But then the other thing is, the other kind of springboard was about when the woman, the Syrophoenician woman, I realized I was kind of walking around the name because I don't trust my tongue to let it flow out. But Syrophoenician woman in that, but a mom and her daughter, her child. So when mom sees Jesus, and there's that knowing what Jesus can do. The things that we know, it's like, wait a minute, that's Jesus. So another direction I'm going is about how the woman knew that was Jesus. How the woman, when they saw, when the fire, my tongue tied. As mom, I'm going to call her mom because she is a fierce parent. As she approaches Jesus, it's like, how, I've heard about this guy. I've heard about this Jesus, and I've heard about what he can do. So the direction I'm going is looking at that knowing, knowing who they are. So the items, I got a couple items from the Dollar Tree, and to use, this is at the beginning of the Sermon on the Steps, and it's gonna be a quiz to see if you know. So, you know who that is? Big Bird, yeah. And there's a 99% chance that the kids that are around you are going to know that that's Big Bird. Another one, that's Blue's Clues, or I don't think that's Bluey, but Blue's Clues. Maybe it is Bluey. My kids are now 21 and 22. I know this from Blue's Clues, and so there's that. But it's one of those magic towels you put in the water and it expands. I've actually got 5 of them, so if I have, 5 kids or less, I can actually give these out at the end so that they can put them in the water and baptismal connections and all of that. So we've got that. Or Cookie Monster. Yeah, Cookie Monster. Yeah, I know Cookie Monster. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. Anyway, so we got Cookie Monster, we've got Big Bird, and we've got Blue's Clues or Bluey. And so in that, how do you know, or what do you know about Big Bird, or what do you know about Cookie Monster? And it's because we've heard the stories, we've seen the stories, and that has passed on. And so here's this mom, here's this parent that has heard the stories, has maybe even knows someone that Jesus healed, and so that seeing that's Jesus. I mean, we know Jesus because we tell the story all the time, and we've got the Gospels that we hear the stories of Jesus. But here's this woman who is in desperate need, and goes, wait a minute, that and the desire and the need crosses over the boundaries. Again, here's those messy boundaries that they're there, but she's like, no, I'm talking to that man. I'm going to get the help we need for my kid. And so coming from here, how do we know who this is? We know who that is. And how does the woman know who Jesus is? Because she's heard and she's seen and she knows, and ultimately she believes that Jesus can help and heal her child. So there we are. I mean, so this is a very passionate story, and there's so much in here. And that's not how I would, like, how do you know this, kids? Maybe I tone it down just a bit. But, yeah, there we are. Those are some of the springboards that I have for this. I'm hoping one of these can be useful for your own children's sermon. And again, thank you so much for your partnership in the ministry. Thank you for being here. Thank you for who you are, and especially thank you for the love that you're sharing with your kids and your congregations and your families. Their lives are better for it, and I know, and I believe yours are as well, because you are rocking it. Yeah. Peace. That was actually, you are rocking it, and peace. There we go. I will see you next week.